Well, after a year of silence, I thought I'd hop on here and let you guys know why I disappeared for the last year and why I almost quit my entire YouTube channel and everything that I had built. I also want to let you guys know how that moment of crisis actually led to something that I didn't expect. The last time you saw me, I was in Dallas, Texas, and I had purchased a Subaru Outback and contemplated some car camping. However, a lot has changed since then. I sold my van, I sold that Subaru Outback, traded in for a Ford Explorer because I bought a trailer, which I will get to in just a little bit. And I also moved to the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, a lot has actually really changed besides almost quitting this YouTube channel. So I guess I should probably take you back to where it all started and how all of this came to be in the last year. So I found myself in a completely new chapter. I wasn't doing van life anymore. There was no more constant travel. It was just me and this new apartment in Dallas, Texas. Lily had passed away, and I was near my family again and feeling completely disconnected from the content creator that I used to be. So here's what was really going on. Every time I opened my laptop to create, I felt empty and uncertain on what topics to discuss and what videos I wanted to create. My entire channel had been built on travel and on van life, and I had to ask my question, who was I without that? I felt a little bit lost and trying to figure out my next path. And you all, this amazing group of 74,000 subscribers, which I'm blown away by, I really questioned whether or not you would tune into my channel if I wasn't doing van life and solo travel material. I know that so many of you had reached out to me and said, Amber, we're gonna watch your content no matter what you put out there. But while I really, really appreciate that and feel honored that you guys would still watch me no matter what I did, I felt like I needed to be connected to the content. I needed to feel passionate about it, and I wanted to love what I do, and I wanted to love what I was creating. And in that moment, I didn't feel any love going on about things that I wanted to create. In those moments of thinking through all of these things that were swirling around in my head, I had three really big questions that were coming up for me. So the first question was, should I actually just start a whole new channel and just let this one ride it out? I wasn't gonna delete it because I had made a ton of content that I think is still useful for a lot of people out there, but I thought maybe I just needed to start a whole new channel. The second question was, should I rebrand this channel called Story Chasing? And the third question was, could I find a way to keep this community while being authentic to who I am? So those were the big questions that were coming up for me and things I was just trying to figure out. I had worked really, really hard to build this community. I have 6 years of memories and stories and connections. So the thought of starting over with a new channel, well, that just didn't really appeal to me. I knew there was something I could still do on the Story Chasing channel. I mean, story chasing has so many meanings, but specifically it's about living your life to its fullest and creating those beautiful stories of your life during the journey, even through all of the ups and downs. You may have even noticed that I actually did rebrand the channel from Story Chasing to just my name, Amber Baldwin, but then that felt very out of sync because I had the blog called storychasing.com, and I had this, problem of how do I marry these two together and how do I sync them properly? So that was swirling around in my brain. So trust me when I tell you that I was severely agonized over these decisions and trying to figure out what to do. I talked to friends, I talked to family, I talked to fellow YouTubers, some of which who were asking themselves the same questions. People who had been in van life and traveling full time who thought that they wanted to travel differently. And I know for me that that was part of where some of my anxiety came up in 2022, is that I knew that I wanted to travel differently, and I knew that I wanted to come off the road, and would people watch my channel? And I mean, it's the same questions that I'm talking about here. It was, It's really hard to think about when this is your sole source of income and your business and something that you've taken a lot of time and energy to put into it. You don't want to let all that stuff go away. Even as I was making new changes in my life and I was getting my new trailer, I was settling into my new place in the Pacific Northwest, I kept wrestling with these questions and I felt very overwhelmed on what this new direction looked like. Then one day, while I was hiking in my new home state, it just hit me. The story, it did not have to end with van life when van life ended. It was just the beginning of a new chapter to my story. Because here's what I've realized. Life is all about transitions. It's about chasing the story that fulfills you in this very moment and not holding on to the story that no longer serves you. And please, I don't want you to misunderstand me. Van life was absolutely amazing for me. It was a bucket list moment. It was a life dream. It was absolutely incredible, and I would not change it for the world. I met so many people when I was traveling around for 6 years. A lot of those people I still call my friends, like really, really good friends. We met through happenstance, walking our dogs, meeting out on a beach, meeting at an RV park, just meeting in a city. And I just wouldn't change anything about it. So I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm not saying that I regret anything about it. I'm just transitioning into a new part of my life now. So when I say that that story of travel no longer serves me, it only means that I fulfilled that incredible part of my journey and it's time to transition into that next journey. You know, sometimes we get caught up in what we think our story should be, that we forget that stories actually have chapters. Each one is perfect for its time. Van life was a chapter of freedom. It was a chapter of discovery. It was a chapter of pushing boundaries. It taught me absolutely how little that I needed to be happy and how much joy there was in the unexpected. But here's the thing about good stories. They evolve, they grow, they surprise you. Just like I never expected van life would become my story 7 years ago, I never expected that I'd be ready to write a new chapter now. And that's okay. Think about it. When you finish an amazing book, you don't just read the same chapter over and over again, right? You carry the lessons, you carry the memories, and the growth into the next book you read. And that's what I'm doing now. Van life taught me about minimalism. It taught me about community and about bravery. And now I get to use those lessons in a completely new way. I get to take that spirit of adventure and apply it to the next chapter, creating content that matters, building something meaningful, and sharing that journey of reinvention. Because transitions are about leaving something behind. They're about building something new with the foundation you've created. Every mile in that van, every sunset, every breakdown, and breakthrough, well, those were just moments in time. They were building blocks for what came next. They were a part of my story. So yes, while I may not be sharing my travel stories, at least not full-time travel stories, I'm still on an amazing journey. It just happens to look a little bit different now. Instead of exploring new lands, I'm exploring new possibilities. Instead of sharing roadmaps, I'm sharing transformational maps. The adventure continues, it's just taking a little bit of a new form. And you know what? I'm just as excited about this chapter as when I first hit the road, because that's what happens when you listen to your heart and you follow the stories that are meant for you right now. You find that same spark and that same passion, but just in a new way. Life really is sweet like that. It's always offering us new paths and new stories and new ways to grow. Of course, if we're brave enough to turn that page. So are you ready to hear what's next for this channel? I'm so excited to share with you what it's all about. We're going to talk about transformation, if you haven't already figured that out by now. It's not just the surface level changes, but those deep, meaningful shifts that happen when we're brave enough to listen to our inner voice. The kind of transformation that happens when we stop living on autopilot and we start living with intention. We're also going to explore life pivots, because who says that reinvention has to have an actual age limit to it? I mean, think about it. We have decades of wisdom and skills and life lessons. We're not starting over. We're leveraging everything we've learned to create something new. And I'm going to show you how I'm doing it, all of my stumbles, all of my victories, I'm gonna be vulnerable, which is what I've done with this entire channel all the way. So nothing will really change in that regard. Building an online business, oh yeah, we're definitely diving into that. So remember how I used to share all the nitty-gritty details about van life? I'm also gonna do that by pulling back the curtain on building a sustainable online business. We're gonna also talk about mindset shifts during major life changes, because let's face it, that's where the real work happens. You know those moments where your brain is telling you to play it safe, but your heart is pulling you into something new? We're gonna talk about those things. And yes, I'm still gonna talk about traveling here and there. I still love a good adventure, and now that I have my Scamp trailer that I'm gonna be pulling behind my new SUV, I'm gonna have those moments of still going out and having little grand adventures. It'll be shorter little adventures and things probably a little bit closer to home, but I think that's gonna be a fun part of the story as well in this next chapter, because I get to really explore the area that I'm living in and really just dive into those places that maybe I haven't been before. Guys, you know what's really beautiful about all of this? It still aligns with why you subscribe to this channel in the first place. I mean, maybe you subscribed because it was about van life and travel, but at the end of the day, I think you might have stayed for something a little bit more than that. I suspect that another reason is you subscribed to this channel because you were drawn to the idea of living life on your own terms, just like I was. I think that you were also inspired to break from convention and choose a different dream or a different path in your life, and wanted to see maybe what that was like from somebody who was also stepping out of their comfort zone and trying something completely different than I had ever done in the past. So that's what this channel is still about. We're still chasing dreams. We're still questioning the status quo. We're still seeking a life of intention and purpose, just from a little bit of a new angle. The vehicle that has changed, but the destination remains the same. We're living a life that absolutely lights us up. This isn't just a pivot, it's an evolution, and I hope that you want to be a part of it. Because whether you're contemplating a career change, or maybe you're thinking of starting a new online business, or maybe you're feeling that there has to be more to life than what you've been living, then I think that this channel is going to be your companion in that journey. Because let's face it, the story doesn't end when one chapter closes. I actually think that that's where that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful magic actually begins. If any of this resonates with you and you haven't already subscribed, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell to be notified every time I come out with a new video. And no matter if you've been on the channel forever or you're new, I hope you'll drop me a line and let me know if you've ever gone through a life transition where you really were just feeling like you didn't know your path and you had to really sit down and figure it out and figure out, maybe you had to heal from something and then you could figure out what that path was going to look like. But drop me a comment below and let me know. I'll be looking at all the comments and answering as many as I can. And I hope to see you guys, as always, in the next video. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be connecting with you guys again.